What's happening, fishing friends? Welcome to another episode. Today we've got another fun gear video. I'm going to be going over all my favorite combos from the last year, kind of almost 2-ish years, that are over that $150 price point. So the rod and reel together, over 150 bucks. Now, if you missed it, I did a budget version where all the combos are at 150 and below. So I'll link that at the end here. But enough yapping, let's get into it. So the first one I've got here is the Shimano SLX MGL reel. And I feel like this is one of the SLXs that goes under the radar. I was really surprised how this thing casts. It's a little bit smaller. It is that 70 size. I know this is upside down. It is the 70 size, so it doesn't have as much line capacity if you're throwing, larger line or frogs with bigger braid. Probably wouldn't be the thing to go to. However, everything else that I use this for, lipless crankbaits, I threw like, chatterbaits, swim jigs, all that kind of stuff on it, and it does all of that absolutely great. And it casts really well. It's because of the braking system. So when you pop the side plate off, you can see it's got the same brakes that you're used to if you use the little SLX, the little white tabs that you have to move, the centrifugal brakes. But on the outside of this MGL, it does also have the variable brake. So it's got that little dial, which moves this little brass cone inside either closer or farther away from those little centrifugal tab brakes. And that's going to either give you more or less braking power. And that combined with the MGL spool, which is meant to throw lighter baits, less startup inertia, all that stuff. All that combined and put together really does make this a smooth little operator. Now, I think this retails for like 170 bucks. Don't hold me to that. But again, one of those reels I feel like kind of flies under the radar compared to the, the larger Corrado K, which is like 180 something bucks. This is a little bit more smaller, a little bit more budget friendly instead of going to like the Corrado MGL 70. They also have one of those. But overall, man, I actually like this reel a lot, and I think it's one in the line that not enough people pay attention to. Now, as for the rod, I picked this for the same reason. I feel like it's a cranking stick that, again, not enough people really talk about or care about or, even consider when th're looking at stuff. It's the Okuma Guide Select. Now, these have been some of my favorite cranking sticks because I got 3 different versions. Where are they? 2 of these that are the 6'9" medium, and these have been for topwater and jerk baits, especially as a bank angler. When you're working anything where you're working rod tip down and imparting movement into that lure with your rod, you're going to be banging stuff, knocking into stuff if you got a longer rod. So a shorter rod like this comes in handy. The other biggest thing for me is the lock-in on this. The purchase that you get on this rod, especially with this smaller MGL reel, you can throw smaller jerk baits, topwaters, little poppers, smaller crankbaits on a rod like this because it is a parabolic cranking rod. But you can see when I get this bent over, it's not too much, and it's still got a decent amount of back moment before it gets into that soft tip. So when you're working, jerk baits or topwaters, pop, 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 and you stop, your rod's not up there going bling, 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 bling. When you stop working the rod, the bait's stopping, and that's something important, something that I kind of look for in a number of baits instead of a real soft, real parabolic, real spongy crankbait rod. There's sometimes you want that, but other times like this, I want it. And this is the second one that I really like, the 7-foot medium rated for lures up to 3/4 of an ounce. A little bit longer cast. And this was honestly my go-to lipless combo. Another reel that I really, really liked, there's one that's kind of a step down from this that I'm going to put in its place as my favorite because I used it more. But this one, again, the fit in hand of this combo is truly like pinky there. Everything just locks in and purchase is absolutely perfect on it. I can put my finger under the line, no stretching. Everything's really comfortable. So the Guide Select rods, if you want a little bit stiffer crankbait rod, still with a good soft tip, you can still run treble hook lures on it. I would say look at this one. I think around 150 bucks. Okay, second on the list is a combo, and this is actually how I fished it. This rod on this reel for the entire year, probably the combo that I looked for most as one of my, if I'm only going to bring like 2, 3, 4 combos with me, one that I brought the most as one of the most versatile combos I use. And this is, whoops, forgot to take the rod stock off. These are actually, they made me some special ones. Shout out to the Rod Glove for making some of these special for me. They said they would do that. Also in the black and gold Hawkeye colors. After that loss to Nebraska, I don't really want to talk about the Hawks. Okay, so this is a rod from TFO. This is the Tactical Bass 7-foot medium moderate cranking stick. And again, it's the same thing kind of as the Guide Select. Now it's really going to come down to kind of what you prefer, what exactly you're looking for. This one, again, does have the soft tip, but maybe a little stiffer than the Guide Select. And I did find myself using this for mainly the larger topwater lures, so the topwater walking baits. Y'all saw me throw the Heckler on it, one that I painted, one you can see back there. Some topwater walking baits. You can go with smaller swim jigs like this. This is the one from Missile Baits, their new little mini Ike swim jigs, which are absolutely killer with their Missile Baits Mini D-Chunk on it. I threw smaller spinner baits on this, chatterbaits on this. There's just so much you can do with this stick because again, it's not a super parabolic, like crazy moderate. It's all graphite, so you've got a decent backbone until you get into that soft tip. But once you really pull into them, that rod will bend all the way almost down through to the middle. So again, TFO, one of those brands that I don't think gets enough recognition. We had Ross on from TFO on a live not too long ago. Super nice folks. And again, I will link all these products down below to Tackle Warehouse. I think their sale continues through tomorrow till a certain time, like 3 p.m. or something. So Black Friday sale, everything that I'm talking about, I think everything, should be at least 20% off. Some of the stuff like Okuma, I think you get an extra 10. So now's the time to grab it. But the reel. This is the Lose Custom SLP. So it is a step down from the Custom Pro, and I'm going to do a separate video on that, the new version versus the old Custom Pro. But this Custom SLP is an awesome little kind of do-it-all reel. This one you can see does have the dual brakes, so it's got the pins you can set inside and then the externally controlled magnetic brakes. That is one of the main differences between the Custom Pro. But again, fit in hand, the Lose reels I think really take the top of the cake for me. If you're somebody who likes to put your finger under your reel, you like a reel small, that, you know, LFS, lighter, faster, stronger, that small compact frame, I think Lose really does take the top of the heap at that. For me, like if I hold it in hand, some of the most comfortable. Again, it's going to depend on the person, but they're not too long. I know that's a complaint with some Daiwas. Shimano, you know, they're pretty palmable as well. So it really just depends on the person. But overall, just a good clean reel. You know, it's got the EVA knobs, which I liked. It's got the line keeper. Nothing too crazy about it. All plain black. You know, I guess, again, kind of up to the person what you like. But I like kind of a boring looking combo. And this is all just black and gold. Said I wasn't going to talk about the Hawks anymore. But a slick little deal. Now I got to shout out that guy Skimpy. And this company's called, what is it? THCG is the name of these grips. That guy Skimpy gave me some of these when I got to meet him at the Do It meetup. And I thought, dude, these things look dumb as hell. I'm probably never going to use these. But for topwater, anything where you're working the rod, where that rod's moving in between your fingers like that, I actually like these things. So it's just a little, like, very rubbery deal that sticks on your rod trigger there. So that way when your fingers are in between there, it's nice and soft. So have to shout out him for that. It is kind of a cool little deal. You know, maybe if you've got pain there or you just want something more comfortable, I don't know. I tried them and I was honestly surprised that I actually liked it. But anyway, combo number 2. Okay, moving on to casting combo number 3. I've got one more after this and then 2 spinning, so there'll be 6 of these combos total. But one of my absolute all-around favorite tank workhorse of a reel, the Daiwa Tatula 150. I think this is at like the $160-ish, $70-ish price point, but one of the few reels you will find at that price point in a smaller, you know, kind of low profile reel that has an aluminum frame and an aluminum handle side plate. If you're throwing jigs, Texas rigs, frogs, anything where you're getting a really hard hook set into them, it's undeniable the amount of power and rigidity you can feel in a reel like this that has an aluminum frame and side plate. There's no torquing, there's no bending, there's no twisting. You know, the reel foot is aluminum. Everything is super solid. So for me, that's why I like this thing. It fits my hand really well. Again, I don't have overly big hands. I can just barely palm a basketball. I have kind of long, I guess, skinny fingers. So for me, this fits really great. You know, if you have shorter, stubbier, you know, maybe thicker hands, maybe not so much. I know some people don't like the length of the Daiwa reels because they are a little bit longer in hand. But for me, my finger lays perfectly flat there. I love it. I think it's one of the best do-it-all, all-around reels out there on the market at that price point for anything where you're, you know, kind of really power fishing. This is it. In the 150 size, you can frog with this, you know, put heavier line on. You've got enough line without having to worry about, you know, am I going to run out or get to the very bottom where it's, you know, all the coilies. I don't know what else to say about it. It's got the T-wing system that drops down, so you can see when you push that, that drops down to give you a little bit larger, you know, line space for your line to go through. It's got the old Daiwa handles, which I like a lot better than one of the reels I'm going to talk about coming up. Overall, awesome little reel. Now on the rod, this is the Dobyns Champion XP. I actually had a different reel on this. I'll talk about it for a second. For most of the year, I used it really for jigs, Texas rigs, some finesse jig stuff, kind of lighter Texas rig type things. And this is a 704. Fit really well. It's a good balanced rod. That's one thing Gary Dobyns talked about on his live with Hellabass. Look at that. And just so you know, I'm not touching anything. That's the balance point. That is right there. So anything, if you don't want too tip heavy of a rod, this is it. Of course, that'll change with the, you know, the size and weight of reel you put on, but with this 150, it is almost perfectly balanced right there at that reel cap. Look at that. But anyway, great sensitivity on it, good feeling reel, good components. The only gripe I have is that Dobyns still puts these like threaded reel nut things on. It's great for tightening it because you can get a grip on it, but once your finger sets there, if you're somebody that likes to finger the line like I do, it's not the most comfortable. You know, if you put your finger up here or whatever, which is what I ended up doing a lot of the times, no big deal. Now, the reel that I actually had on that most of the year was this, the new Concept Z Slide. Again, another really good reel. Probably one of the hardest to get set up for me because I had to pump the brakes way up. But I've moved this over to the Champion Extreme, this orange and black reel, and you can see one step up, it doesn't have that. It's a nice smooth. And this one, if you have the money, the sensitivity on this one, I could feel a step up from this to this, which I know is crazy, but this thing, you know, I threw it a whole day with some finesse jigs on it, and it felt absolutely awesome. The trigger here feels real good, nice and thin. Everything just, again, when you get it locked in hand, and that's such a big part of combos is once you get it put in your hand, is it comfortable? Because you could give me a $2,000 combo if it hurts my hand or it's not comfortable, I'm probably not gonna use it. I'm gonna opt for something else. So feels really good, but both of these, I kind of lump these together. I know certain times places will have, you know, these on sale and stuff, but the Champion XP, I would have no problem fishing a complete fleet of these things. I just maybe wish I had something to put over that. Okay, the last casting combo, I saved the best reel for last. In my opinion, my favorite reel, hands down, has to be the Daiwa Zillion. In hand, the fit is awesome. I know the first time I took this out and cast it, did I just do like a David Draymond? First time I took this thing out and cast it, I had to take a double take because it's really weird. There's like no sound to it. It's very free feeling. And it feels a little bit different. Like when I switched over to it that first time, I was kind of like, do I have this thing set up right? But brakes and everything on this are super easy to set. They're down below. I know that's one thing that people talked about, like on the Tatulas, that big brake dial's up here on the side, whereas this one's below. Some people like that more. Typical Daiwa brakes in there. It does have the SV spool, that SV boosting system, and this thing actually pulls out as you cast, moves out. I know I've explained this before, but goes inside here. So it's kind of like a centrifugal as this moves, mixed with magnetic, which are the magnets in there together. And in my opinion, Daiwa's got the best braking system out there. If you want something where you can cast it and forget it, half the time I don't even thumb it, which I'm a big proponent of that. Make sure you keep your thumb in contact with the spool the whole time, but you can fling this thing. Same thing for the Tatula 150. This is better for lighter lures. It's got the spool that's set up for that SV boost. The magnets, those, what I think they call them Mag Force or whatever. It's got the hyperdrive design, so it's nice and smooth. It is a very smooth reel. I do think some of the some of the Shimanos are smoother than this, like the Bantam, but I mean, when it comes to overall package, definitely hands down my favorite reel of the year. And when it comes to my last rod of the year, it's got to be the KLX. That could be up for debate if I had more of the chromiums to try out. I got the shorter one, so I really had this, kind of pigeonholed into like my jerkbait, kind of some topwater rod stuff. So I didn't get to use it as much as something like this. This is the 7.3 medium heavy. It's the 4 medium heavy is their 4 power, rated for lures up to 3/4 of an ounce. And as I've told you all before, like that 3/4 to an ounce medium heavy, you can do like everything with this. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it is a very true medium heavy fast. It's got a decent tip on it to where you can cast, but it's mostly backbone a third of the way up, I would say, kind of like a regular fast, which is what I would look for. But again, fit in hand is perfect. And the thing that I love about Kistler's is the reel nut. You can see how I've actually wore a little bit of an indentation to this one. The reel nut's soft. That's EVA, foam stuff there. So when I've got my finger here working anything, it's completely comfortable. In hand, I think that's the best system, is to have those little deals on there. Now, people could argue it dampens some of the vibrations and stuff. I don't know. Again, I like to finger my line. So as a whole, feeling bites was not a problem with this. I actually have two versions of this one. This is the 7.3 frog and toad rod. Y'all saw me throw that not too long ago. Awesome combo, again, for frogs. Now this one's more of a moderate. So once you land him with that braid, that rod is really bending over. Yeah, the KLX rods just felt really good. I think it's going to be a close tie with the chromiums, but I already did a video on that chromium kind of breakdown, so check that one out if you're looking at those rods. But as a whole, I really did like the KLX. Okay, over into the spinning combos. I didn't think I'd have as many Dobyns rods on this. I didn't use like Dobyns a ton, but when I really sat down and looked at what I liked the most, I think one of my top kind of 2 favorites was this Dobyns Caden that I got. And this is kind of a do-it-all is the reason I picked this up. It's a 7.1 medium light fast action. You can see there, I do like that Dobyns puts kind of all the things there that you can use it for, what they recommend. Up to a 1/2 ounce lure, and as a bank angler, I really like to have one of those spinning rods that can do it all, because I really only like to take one spinning rod for my finesse stuff. So this, you could throw shaky heads, Ned rigs, tubes, like little swim baits. That's actually what I had here. Those first gen top spins as a follow-up for some Topwater. A number of different things you can do with this. Now the braid, I didn't like the braid. I got some of this for finesse. And it was the spider wire Dura braid. I said I wanted to try it because they say it's supposed to be, way tougher than everything else. It's pretty coarse, and as finesse, like spinning stuff, I like a smoother, easier casting, and to me it wasn't that. Now, I also got the 50 pound, and it performed a lot better on a Baitcaster, so I guess that's just kind of what I would say. So again, Gary Dobyns talks about he likes to make his combos good and balanced, so this is usually how I hold it with my pinky back behind the reel, and you can see as soon as I let go here, look at that. It is just barely in front of where I would put my finger holding this regularly. I don't have to adjust my grip. I don't have to move anything. In hand, that is like almost perfectly balanced. And I think kind of as Gary Dobyns talked about that, again, with him and Hella, such a cool listen to those two guys, talking back and forth about rods. But that's what he said is, not going into a bunch of crazy components and stuff on it, putting a really good blank on it, making it good and balanced, as an all-around rod. And I think that's kind of why I like this one. So the Cadence series, they're not too expensive. They're kind of in that, I think 170-ish region. Again, a lot of places do Dobyns on sales. I know they have a military discount too. So look at those. But otherwise, the reel, the Daiwa Tatula LT, I think was probably my favorite reel in hand for the year. A lot of good spinning reels I used this year. Tried to get some more of these and pick them up. But this is actually the most expensive spinning reel I got. I got it on sale over at American Legacy. I think this was a used one. Smooth, light, this whole combo altogether just feels so good in hand. And that's, again, one of the things that to me has to feel good. I don't like a grip here where there's a bunch of extra stuff or extra foam. This just has the cork here, but again, it's pretty minimalistic. There's not a bunch of stuff going on up top. So the drag on this was nice and smooth. It clicks over with the good sound. The bail, nice heavy bail wire, which I like. Clicked over nice and easy. So it has to be one of my top favorites of the year. The second one was kind of a sleeper for me. I picked this one up with absolutely zero sort of expectations for it. I got it. I've had some Fenwicks before, the HMX, the HMG casting rods. This is the Fenwick Bass Elite. Haven't heard a ton out of Fenwick lately. I saw these come out and they look like a clean rod, but I was like, I'll pick one up. I was looking for something kind of in that mid-range. I think these are right at 150 bucks, on sale 120, something like that. But the first thing I noticed, again, when I put it in hand, that feel in hand, I know Randy likes to get everything in hand, my buddy Randizzle. He's big at getting stuff in hand, and it's true. With this one, there is nothing up here. So I have to say that's the biggest thing is feel here, amazing. And when I let all this go, exactly where my finger would be where I'm holding it, look at that balance point. Right there at the front of the reel holder. The reel nut's actually back here. I kind of do like that where you can tighten it up back here and then there's nothing up here to worry about. It's right there, exactly where I would hold it. I use this for Ned rigs, shaky heads. It's kind of a soft rod, but I mean, it feels good once you get a fish on there with that light tackle and a light hook. It's a medium power, fast action, rated for lures up to 5/8, but again, a softer rod overall. And again, spinning rods are gonna be softer than, if you compared this to a 7-foot medium casting rod. A spinning rod overall is always gonna be softer. They kind of run a little bit more moderate. Which for those light wire hooks like a Ned rig or, a light wire shaky head drop shot, I did throw a drop shot on this. It's perfect because once you get that fish pinned, you can really load that rod. And again, I always go braid to a leader. This is some of the new P-Line Spinex braid. I've really liked it. It alternates between blue and this kind of orangish pink. So if you're a line watcher like me, when that line kind of breaks up I think it's every meter, you can really hone in on that line. Sometimes if it's even a solid brighter color, sometimes you can kind of lose it when it's real bright or kind of dark. So that's why they said they did this contrasting colors. You can see it, and I really like that. But so for the reel, it's kind of a three-way tie. I'm gonna go with a Shimano. Now I've kind of went middle of the road with Shimano as my favorite. I don't think you have to go crazy expensive on a spinning reel as long as it's got a good smooth drag that works. I'm not fighting inshore fish. I'm not fighting 20 pounds, some sort of saltwater fish. I'm catching bass. 5 pound is probably going to be the biggest around here on average in the Midwest that I'm catching. So overall, I think that kind of midway price point has been the best kind of bang for the buck. So this is the new Shimano Miravel. This is the recent one you saw me using, throwing a drop shot. Drag works really good on it. Feels super smooth in hand, but a step down from that, the Shimano Nasi. This is a $99 reel. It doesn't have the CI4 Plus frame. This has been a super smooth reel. I've liked the way it's performed. I honestly have no complaints. Again, drag has worked well, and I was using just a light little paddle tail on this. Worked awesome. Now the third reel, a step down from that, is the Shimano Sahara, and that was the one you saw on my St. Croix Bass X rod. I actually really like that reel as well, and I think it's like right at 89 bucks. All three of these solid reels, you know, you're gonna get a little bit different feeling as far as that frame material, construction, but overall, I mean, all three are right in line. All three are solid performers. I would have no issue using any one of those any day I go out. So Shimano spinning reels, very nice stuff. Again, the Miravel, the Nasi, or that Sahara, kind of bing, 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 just depending on your price. But I've really liked them. You know, a lot of guys like the Vanford, the Stratix. I've honestly never used one of those. You know, I've heard they're buttery smooth, but for what I do around here, a lot of bank fishing, I think these are awesome buys. All right, fishing friends, I need you all to do me a huge favor and comment below and let me know what your favorite gear from this year was, like your favorite casting combo, spinning combo. If you had one reel or one rod that really stood out. If I get a bunch of votes, I guess, for like one rod or reel or something, I'll look into getting those and doing more of an in-depth review on it, showing some more fishing footage and such. But hopefully this helps. Again, I'll link all this below for Tackle Warehouse. If you use my links, a little kickback does come back to me. If you find them cheaper anywhere else, by all means, go buy them over there and save yourself some money. But I know the Tackle Warehouse sale will go until tomorrow, Tuesday. I had to make sure I was correct there. It ends Tuesday, 11/29 at 3 p.m. I think that's Mountain Time. I don't know. I would get your orders in if you're looking to do it now. But they'll also have Christmas deals. I'm sure other places will have deals. But anyway, comment below and let me know. I've got to get out of here. I've got to edit. So this is up for Monday. I appreciate you all more than you know. Thank you all for watching. And again, until next time.